Welcome back to the Joseph Graham Show. Today's great. I've had Gabe on, I think, two times before this, but he's one of my best friends. He has a wealth of knowledge. He's been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years, maybe longer. And we were just like, hey, let's jam again. So, Gabe, why don't you just catch us up with what you're doing and, what projects have come up now that maybe we didn't talk about before?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I always love being here. Thanks for having me, and I'm always grateful I can catch up with you, and love having an opportunity to be in front of your audience too. So thank you. Yeah, so I don't remember what last time we recorded, but it was a while ago. And since then, I had the opportunity to acquire a company called Simple Operations from a friend of mine. So I did that almost a year ago. And the reason that it was exciting and came up for me is I had joined their program about 5 years ago, and that's what really helped me scale my marketing agency through the systems, the processes, the principles inside the program. And so my friend came to a season where he was shifting gears and pursuing some other things in his entrepreneurial career. He ended up kind of shutting the company down for about a year and a half. And then I approached him when it came up, and I was like, man, I'd love the opportunity to pick this back up and carry it further. And so I'm really grateful that that worked out. And so over the last almost year now, we've been bringing new members in and showing them the same process that I use to um, double my revenue and triple my profit, which was in about 18 months is what I experienced. And not just the financial gain of it, which is, always helpful for, our entrepreneurial walk, but it allowed me to work a lot less hours in the business, and have a ton more clarity of, what my team was doing, where we were going, and all those things. And it was the first time that I actually felt like I was achieving the dream I had of, having more financial freedom and freedom of time, which is what I think most of us in business get into business to do. Whether or not we get there or how long it takes is different for all of us. But it was an amazing experience. And so that's what I've been working hard on the last year or so here.
No, I love that because I'm in the group. I've gotten some really good people from that group for this podcast, like David. And the other thing I was thinking of was this: most entrepreneurs that I run into really are solopreneurs, and they have a hard time getting the right processes and services in place. Same thing, which is kind of funny for most sales professionals because they're trying to reinvent the wheel, do the different things, and in reality, if you do the right processes, the right systems that you need that makes your business money, that grows your revenue, that fulfills the need, that does what it is, you win. Do you find that most people overcomplicate their process?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's called simple operations, not complex operations. Because I've tried to overcomplicate things, and like as entrepreneurs, because we're so creative and like we have a vision of what's possible and what we're dreaming of doing, it's easy to get sucked into the latest tool or trend or just distract ourselves with the latest idea when we haven't fully executed on the thing we have in front of us. Or what I had to really learn, and I'm still actively learning this in some areas, is I would do something that worked and then get bored and shift gears instead of like, oh, why don't I
Yep.
just repeat what works? Um, and so yeah,
Yes.
I think it's super common, no matter what stage of business you're in, early stage, or you're more established, whatever level, team size or revenue size you're at. It's super easy to get distracted and not keep it simple and keep just doing the same things that work over and over.
Mhm. Well, and I think because success is boring and people don't like that aspect of it, they think it's like the movies where the salesman says this sexy, fancy, awesome thing and it works. And in reality, it's more of, hey, Gabe, I just wanted to touch base with you. Did I answer your questions? Are you taking care of? Does this really meet your needs? That's real sales, not, Gabe, if you buy right now, this Coke will now be $1 million. You just got to buy right now, Gabe. Like,
That's
it's
right.
it's always so crazy. And then I just see all these people like right now, currently, everyone is tripping about Mosey and Tony Robbins. And I'm just sitting there going, all they're doing is capturing your attention, which is rule one. Everyone is talking about them again, and you're all falling into it. If you
Yeah.
put the same time and effort into promoting your business, who you help and what you do consistently, which you do great, you win. Like, I think that's the problem. We want to be the next Termozy instead of being the Gabe Arnold we're supposed to be.
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years and even more in the last 6 months just reminding myself, like, if I just follow my path, everything will work well. Because when we create a business, it's our creation, it's our idea, it's often like our expertise or experience. And that's like the seed of the creation. That's like where the foundation starts. And if we stay in that vein and we truly remember, like, how do I uniquely serve, my customers? How do I show up and how does my company show up in the marketplace? If we double down on that, then we have the opportunity to succeed. But if I'm always trying to copy what you're doing or some big famous entrepreneur or some other business, it will never work for you if you literally copy and paste it. And that's why I always come back to like, what are the principles? And like you just said, I love boring businesses. They're very profitable. They're easy to run. There's less headaches. And so the more boring and systematic we make things, we actually get to achieve what we want inside and outside of the business. Because I've over the years finally realized every idea I have doesn't need to go into my business because that's
Right.
what slowed me down and caused friction. Because if you think about a team of people, you are the team in the beginning when you're a solopreneur, or you have a few people, or you say you have even just like a team of 10 or something like that. If you're all pulling in different directions and working on different ideas, you have no momentum. But
Hmm.
if you get really clear and say like this is what we want to accomplish for the year, and in the simple operation system we call it, this is your critical number, like number of members or number of products sold or whatever it is. If we get clear on the critical number that we need for the year, then we can cascade that down into simple, effective planning on a quarterly basis. Like that means, simple numbers. If we need 12 new customers here, we need three in the quarter, one a month. And then what am I doing every week? Like you said, just touch a base. What do you need? Following up with people and building the relationship. And it gets a lot simpler and clearer. And then you have a whole team that's pulling in the same direction and knows what the definition of winning is. And at the team members role level, if they know what winning means, then you're all headed the same direction. And momentum builds very, very quickly when you get that level of clarity.
Hmm. Well, and I love what you said there because I think so many times we overcomplicate it. If you have a boring business, guess what? You can go to Greece now for a month because your people can handle it because they're not going to have to contact you about complexity because this is the marketing project. This is the sales project.
Yep.
Most companies like Nike got billions of dollars off shoes. Then they
Yep.
got into clothing. Then they got into a little bit of endorsements, but their main factor is the boring shoe that they've been selling for years.
Yep.
Apple sells a phone. There's other things that they do, but they still sell the phone. It's the same thing. We just want it to be, I think we're our worst nightmare. Alex Sharpton, our
Yep.
buddy, has said that if you're having fires all the time, you're the arsonist. And I think
Exactly.
that's what the problem is because we think it has to be harder. But in reality, entrepreneurs, and I think they have a hard time with this. I want your take on it. I think we think what we're able to do is easy and simple, and it's not. But we think everyone else should be able to do it. Like I know I've told you this before. My wife's like, sales is easy to you. It's not easy to everyone else. That's why you can charge them higher for it. I'm like, but this is simple. She goes, it is not simple what you do. But
No.
because we have this unique gifting or idea, I think for us that's where we get kind of hung up. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's exactly that because this simple operations works for any business that wants to scale profitably, peacefully with great margins and great growth year over year. I was like the minimum growth that our members see is 40% year over year. It's ridiculous. And I've seen it hundreds of times at this point, having been in the membership and now with our members. But something that's really powerful about the system is it's built for the expert, like you and I. Like you spent decades in sales. I've spent decades as an entrepreneur in technology and marketing and all the things I've done. And so it is easy for me. It is simple, but that doesn't really scale very well. Because if I'm the only one that knows the answers or knows the process or know what to do, then it's easy to have team members around you who are confused or don't know the process. And so with the systematic process of figuring out what your expertise is, what your big vision is for your business and how you want to serve the market, you then need to systematically break it down so that it's crystal clear to the team on what they're going to execute on. It's clear in your message and marketing. And there's just a systematic way of continuing to make progress every day, every week, month, and ultimately achieve your goals for the year. And I mean, I still have to remind myself like the things I can do, other people don't know how to do. And so when that comes up for me now, I have a process where I can say, okay, I'm going to create this mini project document and start to offload yet another thing that currently I'm doing in the business, but I want to hand off to somebody. And
Hmm.
so we call those OTA documents. It stands for outcome, transparency, and accountability. So when we start to think and communicate in outcomes like this is the end result I need in the business or from the project, then transparently, like what are the handful of milestones we'll have to achieve to get there, and then who's accountable for each of those steps. Now I have a simple roadmap for the outcome I need, and I can hand that off. Somebody can own that. I can own a piece of it. There can be different team members that collaborate, but now we have this really clear map of how we're going to go from me still owning or holding some skill or piece of the business to me delegating it effectively. And then what's awesome to watch is every time I do that, I'm like, yeah, I have expertise on that, but I have expertise in a lot of things. When I hand it off to somebody that can focus solely on that project or that role or that
Hmm.
task, they do it so much better because they have the bandwidth for it. And then many times now it's like, wow, I like hired somebody or brought somebody to this project and they do it way better than I ever did it. I have expertise in like the overall of the business, but now I'm in a season where I have team members that come in and they just crush. I can't touch what they do, but I still had to decode it, get it out of my head, put it into a project, and then create processes and create systems so that when a team member moves on, or if we get really busy and you need to hire somebody else into that same kind of role, we can just replicate the same kind of result in the work.
Yeah, and I've seen you do this. I've known you, I think, 5 years now. And I remember when you were doing all the sales for your company for
Yep.
a long time, you would have people come in and they try and they fail. And then all of a sudden you got your systems and processes in place. And I remember when you called me, you said, this person is just shining. I'm like, yes, because you're a great salesman, but you're not just supposed to be the salesman. And I'm
Yeah.
only saying this so people know this is not a Gabe doesn't do this. Gabe did this in his actual business. I've seen him come on. I don't just let anyone come on my show because there's a lot of charlatans out there. There's a lot of fake gurus, and there's a lot of people that haven't been in business for more than 2 years
Yeah.
or a half a year. And last year they were a car salesman. The year before that they were a guru. The year before that they were a crypto guy. You want to have that consistency, but what he's talking about makes so much sense. And you and I've even talked about clarity for my business
Yep.
where I was trying to make it to where I wanted them to be where I'm at. I got 20 plus years experience in complex sales with CEOs of multi-million and billion-dollar companies. I can't just give that to someone, but I can improve your sales. Once you did that, all of a sudden I started getting clients like, oh, because I had the mental block here. And I
Yep.
think that comes down to it again boring business, when you get your systems and processes in place, it makes sense. The other thing I was going to ask you about, because I know that you pay attention to the market, there's a lot of baby boomers that are retiring. We're talking about boring businesses. There's a lot of people that are like, I want to have a business, but I don't really know what I want to do. Would you suggest they go buy like the lawn care service, the plumbing service, the small business that maybe a different Gabe or Joe built, but his family doesn't want to do it, but it has an established brand, it has established clientele. They want to retire. I mean, would you suggest people maybe even start looking at that there, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the first thing like I always tell people, like if you're considering going into business for yourself, then like really sit with that, talk to people that have been in business for a while that are honest with you. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. It's going to be hard. Doesn't matter if you buy an established business like I have a couple times over the years, or you start something up, yourself. It's going to be hard and it's going to push you to learn more about yourself than you ever imagine. It's like the ultimate personal development course is if you're going to own a business and be an entrepreneur because you'll find out, skill gaps you have very quickly. You'll find out where you probably need some more emotional intelligence or better communication skills. And so if you're up for the challenge, absolutely. I think entrepreneurship is amazing. I don't think it's for everybody. But if you're up for the challenge and want to do something, that buying something that's established definitely does make sense. But one of the things you want to look at is like, do they have established systems and processes? Because I've seen friends go through acquisitions. I've done a couple of smaller acquisitions and, acquired simple operations. And if you don't have established systems and processes, then you can come in and naturally some of the team members may want to leave or move on. You might lose a couple customers, and those are normal things to happen. But if you lose a key player in the company and there's not a system like a job description, the processes of what they run, all of that, then you lose all that institutional knowledge, and then you're really in trouble.
Mhm.
Um, so one, definitely make sure there's actually established processes that are documented so that somebody can easily come in and do somebody else's job. And then I definitely encourage you to, pick up a copy of the book I wrote about the system, which is Passenger Seat Leadership, and that's at passengerseatleadership.com. You can grab that there, and that also goes to our site
Mhm.
uh, where we offer free clarity calls if somebody's considering that. I'd be happy to talk it through with them. But make sure that going into it, there's processes and systems because that means it's a business that can run without the owner. And then when you come in, improve those systems. Like Simple Operations is a really effective continuous improvement model because one of the tools that we have for free on our site at Simple Operations, you can get our free tools. Our members use it. Is called the five core functions. And you just go on an annual and quarterly basis and score 1 to 5. How's our lead generation, our nurture, conversion, delivery, and then our resell, upsell, and referral. When you score all those, your lowest score item, that's the constraint in the business. That's what's
Hmm.
blocking you. So if you have great lead generation for some reason, but conversion is your lowest score, then work on that. As soon as you fix conversion, then you may need to increase lead gen, or you may need to work on delivery, or both. And so there's always going to be a piece of the business that's a little bit out of balance compared to the other, five core functions. And this just allows you to have this systematic review and process. You can identify what's next to work on in the business. One of the things that I love the most about that is it actually fuels my natural creativity and my drive to want to do something new and like you have something exciting to focus on because I can go, oh, this area needs work. Cool. I can give all my creativity and my power and influence and like all my skill in that area, support the team, build processes. Instead of thinking, oh, I need to launch a new product or do something else or get distracted, I can re-engage my interest just by going through that five core functions exercise that I do every quarter in the company.
Yeah. Well, and I love that because I think so many times people get pressure in business or something, they think they have to get at something new. And in
Yeah.
reality, it's probably just tweaking what you were already doing and making it better because that actually worked for you. We
Yep.
just don't want to tweak it because we get bored. So if we get a new shiny, then we have something to run to because we're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
But your people, and I think this is true of most people, and I don't want to use the word average, people that aren't supposed to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They're the support people. And I'm just going to use
Mhm.
it as a term of not in a negative, but a positive.
Yep.
That's what they want to do out of life. They don't want the whole pressure of it.
Yeah.
I think systems and processes give you the guidelines to empower them to thrive. Because without them, like you said, it doesn't work. Like I know even in the sales world, this is why I tell a lot of entrepreneurs, no, starting out, have you ever sold anything before? If not, go take a commission only sales job for 6 months, show me you can kill to
Yep.
eat, then start a business. Do not, under any circumstances, burn your ship, leave your job, and start a business and then tell your wife or significant other, you need to go back to work because I'm following my dream. That is
Yep.
not a good plan for success.
Yeah.
First, prove you can sell. Second, get around the right people that can help you, like Gabe and other people that can help you get the systems and processes in place, and then launch slowly so that you can build it over time. And I think, I don't know, it just in my head, just sitting back looking at my life, like I fell into the MLM stuff when I was younger because I was like, oh, I'm young. Oh, I can be a millionaire. And it taught me how to sell. In the
Yeah.
beginning, I wasn't doing sales. I was working in a factory. I had no idea. It taught me to reach out to people to try to solve the problem. So that part was good. I think it's just learning and growing and knowing that failure is part of this. How do you
Yeah.
help people with that? Because there's a lot of people, and I think they fall into two sides. Either they're the laissez-faire, they're just going to throw everything against the wall and it sticks. What sticks is good, or they just blast nonsense. Or there's the people that are so precious they had to have the article right. They'll spend 18 hours on one post to get 3 likes. How do you help both groups? Like, is there like I know you have a different way you do it, but how do you help them?
Yeah, with you're definitely right. Like I always say the fastest way to learn is take action because you'll fail. And then you'll succeed some too. And I've been learning recently like to make sure I spend as much time studying what works as what didn't work. But regardless, you have to be in motion, taking action and getting things out there. And so if you're afraid to, put something out there, just realize like nobody's going to know about you until you reach out, until you post it, until you launch it, until you
Mhm.
try it. And another thing is like don't make it too broad. Like in like if you're an expert in what you've done and you have experience and you're offering whatever you're offering your business, the temptation is like, oh, I can help people with all these things. I'm going to talk about all this stuff and I'm going to try all these things. It's possible, but it's really hard.
Yep.
Um, and coming back to the team on that part, your team, I always say, like as a side note, I say, I'm glad the world's not just all entrepreneurs because it'd be burning down. Like we're crazy about stuff.
Yes,
Um,
we are.
and so thank God there's people that like love consistency and love being in the roles they are as team members. And they're looking for consistency and certainty and to be able to do the same process kind of day in and day out, even though for us that feels super boring. But when it comes to, making your offer, putting things out there, if you take action, you'll learn from it. And be ethical, be kind, be truthful. Don't sell something that you can't deliver on, because that'll backfire, and your brand of people talking about who
Hmm.
you are will follow you around. But just as much like on the side of you know putting so much stuff out there all the time, that's not necessarily effective too. There's a cadence to how your audience wants to hear from you. There's a frequency, like yeah, I know you don't call your prospects every single day, Joe, until they tell you to go away. You
No.
know the timing of like, oh, I noticed something happened in the company, maybe they need help, or I'm going to stay in touch every few weeks or couple months. Like you build the relationship and feel what's right for that. And the same thing comes to how we advertise, how we put offers out, how we build, our companies is figure out the right sequence and pacing and put things out there that are valuable. Nobody needs more noise. Nobody needs to
Mhm.
hear from you a million times. There's very few segments in the market in multiple industries. There's really few places where that's actually effective when you want to attract, high quality customers. So there's a balance in that, and it really comes down to like learning who your customer is. What do they value? What do they need? What have they paid you for, or other, similar companies? That's the truth. Paying customers hold the truth for, how we can continue to grow and scale our companies.
Mhm. Well, and I think it comes down to what you're selling as well. If you're just selling a gadget, or whatever, you can be transactional in a lot of ways
Yeah.
because you're marketing what you're selling. Like when I
Mhm.
was in Sedona, you're gonna laugh. I like rocks. I bought two rocks because my
Yep.
daughter wanted rocks, and I played with them, and they're just fun for me. There was
Exactly.
no relationship really built at all. The woman in
Yeah.
it goes, "Oh yeah, this rock gives you this because it's Sedona. They give you some weird whatever. It will help you with mental clarity." I'm like, I just like the rock, so I
Yeah.
bought it.
Yeah.
But when you deal with high-end clients, or you deal with complex deals or bigger companies or coaching, a lot of people listen to this are coaches. It's building the relationship that matters because they need to trust you, they need to believe in you, and they need to be willing to see the value you bring. Like most of my clients honestly come from my post, but they never comment on it. The people
Yep.
that comment on my posts normally don't buy from me. They
Yeah.
just engage, and a lot of them are my friends, but the people that actually really want, they'll DM me quietly and go, "Hey, can you do this?" And you know what I try to suggest to people, at least on the online space, and I want your thoughts on this. Every once in a while, I will throw out there what my prices are online so people can see it because I'm not trying to hide them. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time, but like maybe once a month, because if you don't know what you charge, they have no idea. And if you're not comfortable with the price, it's the wrong price. So how do you help people with that? Because again, if you feel uncomfortable, like when I first started doing, I was coaching for $100 or $200 an hour with all my experience, with all my knowledge, because I was stuck in my head. Now I'm like, well, I might give someone the first time an hour for $500. A lot of times it's a grand or 2 grand, or what's the size of the project. But I had to get to that point to get there. How do you help people even figure out what's the value of it? Because either people a lot of times think it's too much because they're 21 and think they should get paid $1 billion for their knowledge, or they're 60 and they think they should get paid $50. So how do you
Yeah.
help people? And that's not an age thing, but a lot of times it seems to be an age thing.
Yeah, the big thing that I look at, there's a few different things inside of that is one, like think about the end result that you're going to be able to deliver, the true tangible result. And so people, if you're selling business to business, especially true, but even, business to consumer, value is when we provide people time or money. And you can say it a few different ways, but ultimately, like when people invest with my agency, they're looking for money because we're going to help them acquire more customers.
Mhm.
And they're often looking for time because they don't have the time to do it internally.
Yep.
So if they invest $10,000 a month with us, then they need to see 20 or 30 or $40,000 of return on it.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to putting your prices out there, there's a couple ways that I've done it effectively. I've seen other people say like, "Hey, this is perfect for people that are, running $1 million business and want to get to 5 million." I sent some messaging out about that last week. Somebody replied like, "This is exactly what I'm looking for." And so I already know they're qualified for the solution I'm offering, at
Mhm.
that level. Other times you can say, "This is how it works. This is what I charge. Here's my rates." And that's a really healthy filter. And again, as long as you can truly ethically deliver and say, like, if you invest this much, you will get all this time back, which is incredibly valuable, or you will get this return of dollars back. And just explaining it clearly and transparently is so much faster than hiding prices or thinking you have to take people through some weird, tricky fake sales process or whatever it is, or some offer.
Yeah.
Just be upfront about it and you save everybody time. So you're actually serving your market effectively. Because I have people that we publish our pricing right on our website for simple operations, and some
Hmm.
people just jump on a clarity call. I help them, and they're like, "I'm not ready yet," and that's great. I'm like, "That's awesome. I'm so glad we had to help you. That's what we do for our community." And you're self-qualified, or you'll know when you're ready because when you hit X revenue or you're at this level, then if you invest, like I said, our members see at least 40% year over year growth when they apply the system and the principles the way we teach it. So when you're ready, we're here. So I think it's really wise to just be clear and transparent about either just say, this is the size business, or this is what you need to have to be qualified to work with me, or
Hmm.
here's the pricing. It's, two ways to filter things out. And then the other aspect of marketing and sales that people, early on maybe don't think about or don't realize is how you deliver is your marketing.
Hmm.
Because as you and I know, like we refer people to each other and customers, and that only happens because I know what result I got. And
Yeah.
so, I always say marketing 101 is delivering a great product or service because that's what your brand is. That's really the heart of your, marketing and messaging and sales. And then you can promote that, talk about it, but it's real instead of saying, "Oh, this is what we do," and you don't actually deliver. Everybody finds out, and then of course you're not going to make sales. It's everybody already knows. I would say eventually, or very quickly, everybody already knows exactly who you are, what you offer, and what you really do.
Hmm. Yeah, because your energy and your reputation goes before you. If
Yeah,
I take good care of you, Gabe, you'll refer people to me. If I screwed you or I didn't help you, you're like,
yeah,
yeah, Joe, no, we're good. Go
yeah,
away. And I
exactly.
think so many times people get caught up in trying to be something they're not, or trying to follow someone else's pattern. And I don't know, like if you're doing, like if I'm teaching people basic sales, yes. When you're first in sales, I need to teach you scripting, I need to teach you how to talk, I need to teach you how to do it. But once you've been in sales for a few years, now I can teach you the nuances of how you listen to what they're saying, how to reframe it. You don't have to follow script as much as now you're listening for pain points. Same thing with marketing, same thing with business, same thing with your operations. I think people are afraid of people seeing the real them. I think that's the biggest thing. So they try to be. That's why I made the joke about Alex Rose. I don't care about Alex. He's a good dude. Whatever.
Yeah,
Um, I think so many times we have to get comfortable with being ourselves. So let's shift there a little bit because you said this earlier, and I agree with it 100%. Being an entrepreneur, whether it's a side gig, a full time gig, whatever, is the biggest self help improvement thing, because you're going to have times where you have to do a deliverable and it's 9 o'clock at night and you already did something else. Maybe you're just starting your business. So you already did your day job. Now you're doing this and you're tired, but are you going to keep your word?
yeah.
Do you help people navigate with that as well? And have you ever had to tell someone, hey, bro, or I'll just say, hey, bro, this really is probably not for you. You should work for someone.
Yeah. Um, when it comes to being successful in business, and my definition of success that I heard somebody share with me the other day was really good, is it's doing what you said you're going to do.
Hmm.
That's all there is to it. And so, one, you have to have the personal discipline, and that's a skill set. Like we build our skill of discipline over time. You have to have the skill of discipline and focus to achieve your goals. And so, one of the things we currently, right now, we continue to give it away for free. I don't know how long, if we'll give it away for free forever, but in our free tools, we have a tool called the Quantum Flow Planner. And it's just a simple habit you can create for yourself. You go in and say, what's my intention for the day? What's the top three things I'm going to get done? And there's some other just kind of support and questions and process in there. And sitting down, whether you like to plan at night or in the morning or whatever time works for you, just sitting down and making a plan every day of this is what I commit to do and then follow through on it. That builds confidence. It gives you the strength when you're super tired and you're like, man, I'm worn out and I don't really want to get this done, to deliver on time and keep your word. And that skill just takes time. And so not only in the Quantum Flow Planner tool that we have, it just builds that habit, but it keeps you organized and gives you momentum and keeps you going. But that translates into your company, whether you're a solopreneur, your customers will see the result and effect of that, and your company can grow. Or you have a small team, your team's going to draft off of who you really are.
Hmm.
And so it comes back to, again, like you're saying, the personal development stuff and really growing how you show up in your habits and what you choose to focus on and follow through on. I know I've been doing quantum flow planning for 5 or 6 years now. And I know like as soon as I started that, my team showed up differently and they weren't even doing it yet.
Hmm.
And it's because my consistency is what they see, feel, and observe. And honestly, I know there's for me, I know there's an energetic to that inside the company where if you're showing up in integrity and keeping your word to yourself, then everybody around you can do better with that too. And so it really comes down to like committing to what you truly can do, which takes self-awareness. And, we support our members with that and saying, hey, I think maybe you're a little bit too broad right now. What would it look like to prioritize? And that's also a core part of what we teach in simple operations is this principle kind of lives inside of all our processes and principles and tools. It's like, let's start by analyzing where we are. Then let's prioritize what's important. Then let's execute on those things. And then let's renew the process. Just analyze again. And it's just this, over and over cycle that's boring, but ultimately becomes really fun. Because
Hmm.
when you have the momentum and you keep just making incremental progress day over day, week over week, and onward throughout the months and the quarter and the year, that's where all the momentum comes. Is just keeping the little commitments to yourself and helping your team commit to the most important thing for the week that's in alignment with your goals for the quarter and the year and accomplish it just step by step. You say this all the time, and I tell my kids this, like if you just get 1% better today, you're 365% better in a year, and that's massive growth
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
massive change. And that's the same thing we see with our members. It's like we support them, we help them focus in, remove distractions, get clear on where they really should focus because we run through that five core functions exercise consistently. It's like, oh, lead generation isn't quite where we need to be. Let's focus on that for the next 90 days. And oh, cool, that's solved. What's the next thing the business needs? And so, with that level of focus and discipline, that's what brings integrity into who you are as the entrepreneur, the leader in the business, and your customers experience that. And then, of course, you deliver well, and they tell other people. And plus, when you deliver well, your advertising works better, all your marketing works better. It's just a nice cascade. So,
Yeah. When I think it comes down to consistency over time,
yes,
adaptability, and not giving up. So many
yep,
people, like even in the 5 years I've been doing this, I've seen so many different people come through or shift what they're doing, or friends of ours
yep,
change what they're doing. And I'm like, if you would have just stuck with the original one, you would be seen as an expert now. But because you've changed it 8 different times, and I think it comes down to what knowing what you really want to do, what you really want to give, and who you really want to help. So for businesses that are listening right now, what are your minimum requirements for them to work with you? Because I know like you're not going to want the brand new person that started last month because they probably don't have a revenue flow. They probably don't have enough of a budget to get there. So what is the like, who's your ideal client?
yeah. The one of the primary kind of first like qualifiers where it makes sense to work together is that you know who you're selling to. You actually know your product market fit, and you've been selling to those people for a while. Um, Reading passenger seat leadership will definitely help you if you're in startup mode. Those are principles, and that's why we have the book out. You can join our Facebook community. Happy to have you jump on a clarity call. We offer those free. We're happy to help you. But once you've established who you sell to and what you sell to them, and you've done that consistently for whatever, a good handful of customers and you're consistent there, then typically when you're 50 to $100,000 a year in revenue, that's our baseline. And we have a group coaching program where we teach the processes and principles there. And for folks that are close to or at seven figures, then we have a more intensive, more holistic program because that's where you can go from like 1 million to 1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million very quickly.
Hmm.
One of our members grew 60% in the first year.
Hmm.
Another one of our members, doubled in like 18 months. When I was in the membership, I saw members go from like 3 to 5 million to 20 million. I saw
Hmm.
another member go from 40 to 80 in a
Yeah.
matter of 4 years. And so really it works, at whatever level you're at. But the main thing is like, who you're selling to, what offer, what value you provide them, and you really have that product market fit of who you sell to, and then be established and have some revenue. Like I said, we have two levels because we want to help people that are early stage that haven't broken seven figures yet. And those that break seven figures, the acceleration is just crazy fun to watch. There's so much more you can even do at that level.
Hmm. No, I love it. I was going to make a joke. It took 4 years to go from 40 to 80 million. Oh no. Can
I
I
know.
have that problem?
It's
That's a good
ridiculous.
problem to have.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the big factors whenever we see like one of my current members, like I said, he grew 60% a year. Another one doubled, and it was about 18 months or so. One of the reasons why that happens is as the CEO, every single week you have total visibility of what every single person in the company does, and it takes you about 15 minutes to see it.
Hmm.
So if something's off, you know about it, then you can support, as CEOs, our job is to provide resources and remove barriers. That's
Yep.
like it's a simple job. It's not necessarily an easy job, but it is simple and clear. So you can go to one of your managers and leaders and say, "Oh, I noticed this person's stuck. Do you have the support you need?" Like, "Yeah, we're coaching or we got it or we're solving the problem." So the level of transparency that you have all the way down through your company is super powerful, just like it's really powerful for you to get clear and the team understand this is the big outcome we need for the year. So we're going to focus all our efforts around that. And when you have that, unification, everybody pulling in the same direction, every member hits it at a different point, but you hit these points and then there's just these hockey sticks.
Hmm.
Well, the owner is working less and getting to spend more time with her family. And that's what I love just as much as the revenue and the profit is amazing. And that's the point of being a business is to make money. But
Hmm.
what's super cool is what reminds me of what one of my members told me a few weeks ago. He's like, now that I've had Simple Ops in, for just over a year or so now, um, he said, I finally have time to step back and start thinking about me. And he got to uncover some opportunities with his own health, things that he could take better care of himself. And he said, like in the last few weeks, he, got some support, realized a few things. And he's like, this is the most calm and happy I have been in years.
Hmm.
And he's working less. And so he had the space to go, I'm working less. I'm still uncomfortable. What do I need to invest in myself? Because I also have said for your self-care is the ticket to seven figures, always.
Hmm.
And so if you really take great care of yourself, and it was awesome. It was just like to see this member be able to step back, take better care of themselves, and show up better as a parent and a partner and friend. Like that's wealth to me. The money
Yeah.
is what gets us there, but that's wealth is to be able to have the time we want for ourselves and for our loved ones.
I love that quote. I'm going to use that now. Self-care is the key to seven figures. But it makes sense because on the journey, especially in high-end sales or in entrepreneurship or any of that, we live in stress. Like our world
Yeah.
is stress. We actually have the capacity to carry stress where most people would faint. We're like, I need more. Like
Yeah.
we feel off, and I know you're this way, but we feel off when we don't have stress. When we go on vacation, I had to like put my laptop down or do different things. And because I think we're just so used to that state of norm. But when you have the right simple processes set in place that your people can take care of the stuff they need to do, now you actually can enjoy, like you said, he could take care of his health and do that type of stuff. I know some people are already wanting to know, and we're not completely done, but where can people find you or find simple operations and all the stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, it's simpleoperations.com. We've got, like I said, we got free tools there. You can grab a copy of the book. You can jump on a clarity call for any support you need in the business or anything you've got. We love helping folks with that. And I'm super easy to find on Facebook and LinkedIn. Just look up Gabe Arnold, and you'll find me there. So that's a great place to find me.
Yeah, and I rarely do this, but I've done it and it works. I worked with Gabe on it. It's phenomenal. And I don't bullshit any of you on people that are good or bad. If I thought he sucked, she wouldn't be on the show. But anyways, um, as we land the plane and all, is there anything else that we want to talk about? We talked about the book, we talked about simple operations, we talked about seven figures. Key is self-care, which I love. I like that's popping in my head a bunch. But is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I think like where we're at right now, it's a pretty unique era in history, in my opinion, because AI is causing massive change and shifts. Like I look at it in a couple ways. One, on the one hand, I say it's just like the new internet. So we can go back and look at like around 2000, first few years in the 2000s, and we can see a ton of parallels. And so there's a lot of things we can learn from that, and there's some similarities. On the other hand, because AI is going to take away all the administrative work and all the stuff that we don't need to do anymore, it's causing massive shifts in markets, where obviously there's world conflict and challenges and economic things going on. And so when we're in these seasons of disruption and challenge and change, it's a really important time to have clarity in what's happening in your business so you can be nimble and adjust. And realize like what does the market need and how can we deliver that and how do we get clear of what those processes look like. And so this is a time to be introspective and to look and say like, yeah, I've been running this business this way for a handful of years or a number of years, but do I really have true transparency on what my customers need? Do I really have clarity on how delivery works? Because every, I would say every quarter for probably the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to have this massive shift where our identity as workers is no longer going to be the same. So like being paid to do the administrative work or the day-to-day things is going away. And so that's changing how the workplace is. That's changing markets, industries across the board. And if you don't have a systematic process where in real time you can evaluate what's happening, get clear on what needs to happen and create that OTA, like what's the outcome we need right now, who's accountable for it, what are the milestones inside of that. If you don't have a clear, simple, effective, continuous improvement process in place and a way to evaluate the business in real time, you will get caught, unaware and you will be left behind. And like a simple example in the marketing industry right now, 12 to 18 months from now, there's going to be so many marketing agencies that have gone out of business. And it's unfortunate. It's because they don't have visibility of what's happening in their company and they're just going along like they used to. And they don't have a system in place that, gives that transparency. So I would just encourage people to realize like this is a time to really get clear on what's happening, put clear transparency, process, and systems in the business and figure out, and pay attention to the five core functions of your business. How is lead generation going? What's happening there? How are you nurturing those relationships? What's the conversion like? What's delivery like? And then how are you getting people to rebuy and refer you and all that as well? Because a simple scorecard, which we give that away for free on the site, and our free tools will help you get clear on what to work on because this is a time to be nimble, to adapt, and to do what the business needs. The last principle I'll touch on that I've had for years and share is something I call the circle of life. And it's one of the core principles that we teach in the membership and that I run in my business that says we need to make decisions with these three priorities in mind of what's good for the business, what's good for the team and the individual team members, and I usually say what's best for our clients. So when we make those a decision with all three of those in mind, then we're doing what the business needs and we can grow. But if we don't have that awareness and we don't have decision making and evaluation processes in place, we might do something that feels good for the company but hurts the team, and then you have no company. Or we
Yeah.
overinvest too early with a big heart. I've done it too many times in the years past. Like we overinvest too early and too many team members are too much, and then the company suffers or clients suffer. And so we need to make decisions with that perspective of what's best for the company, what's best for the team, what's best for the clients. All kind of those are all equal priorities. And then when we do that, then we'll be able to adapt and go through this season because it's going to be a wild ride till 2030 is my feeling, if not longer. But we've got a lot of change and, tumultuous stuff going on at the moment.
Yeah, no, I love that. I agree. It's definitely, I maybe past 2030, I'm in the tech space and it's
Yeah.
changing and growing. And again, I'm gonna do a selfless plug here. If you have a business and you want it to go, like he was saying, 40, 60% by getting the right systems and processes in place, reach out to Gabe and his team. Like this is someone I'm bringing you someone I use. This is not just someone I'm friends with on Facebook. I met Gabe 5 years ago at a buddy of ours event. We became friends. It took us time to kind of establish relationships. Say, okay, is Joseph showing up? Is Gabe showing, the right way? And now I'm like, I would have no problem recommending Gabe to anyone. And that is high praise for me because I don't recommend it to many people. So you know who needs to hear this episode. If it's you, go to the website, sign up, do a free clarity call, see if it works. He'll get you going in the right direction, and maybe you join the group, maybe you don't, but you'll have an amazing connection. And until next time, share this with someone that needs it. If you know a small business owner, if you know a large business owner, you know a multi-billionaire, they all need systems and processes to increase and enhance what they do. So share that episode, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you haven't liked or rated the show, please do that too, because that helps more people hear all these cool things that we get to talk about here on the Joseph Graham Show. Again, Gabe, thank you for being on, my friend. And for all you listening, thank you for listening. I know you've taken time out of your day to do this, and I appreciate it.